All right, so today I have decided that I am going to feature two stamp sets that I feel coordinate really nicely together, Oceanfront and On the Horizon. Oceanfront is just a fun watercolory set that you can use in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to show you kind of a unique, well, not unique, I guess, so much, but kind of a fun way to use it that isn't a lot of work at all and you don't have to overthink things, which is kind of nice sometimes because sometimes I think, oh, you're welcome, Cindy. Thanks for the card. That was very nice. Um, I think sometimes when you look at stamps like these and you go, well, what am I gonna do with that? Well, this should help today. I should be able to share with you an idea that's really going to make it easy for you to use if you have some watercolor paper. And then this one here on the horizon, this will be featured in an upcoming buy and try class. If you're not familiar with those, and actually I haven't updated that page at all yet, but if you go to amyrich.net and click buy and try, then you can see details of what is happening. I will be updating that, believe me, in the next couple of, week for sure. In the next week for sure, I will have that updated for you. But this stamp set and the coordinating dies will be part of that, and that will make it give you an opportunity to get your hands on it and get some free classes. I am so glad you're all coming here to watch. Hi, Carla. I'm sorry it took a few minutes for me to get my comments up on here. But we're going to start with the Oceanfront and a piece of watercolor paper. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about our watercolor paper. I ran out, and so I had to use some old watercolor paper on another project. And let me tell you, this current watercolor paper is so much nicer. I love it. It comes in, I think it's 5x7, and so all I did was slice it in half. And then this is 3.5x5, so that's what I'm going to use here. And then I always keep a towel handy by my space. This one happens to be a Not So Average Stampers towel that I gave to all of my team members who attended on stage with me a couple of years ago. Well, maybe more than a couple now. I think COVID has stopped time in some ways. I don't know how you feel. So when I spritz this, then I'm going to have that nice towel in the background. And then I'm going to use 3 different ink colors. It's going to be Pool Party, Balmy Blue, and Crumb Cake. So I'm going to open them all because not that I really have to work super quickly, but I want to work a little bit more quickly with this to make sure that the paper stays wet with each stamp that I'm stamping. So again, I'm starting with Oceanfront, and I'm going to take a spritzer filled just with water, and I'm going to wet that paper, and then it's ready to stamp. So starting with Pool Party, and then this piece right here from the stamp set Oceanfront, and boy, I did not get my page numbers ready for you. Sorry about that. Oceanfront is on page 39, so you can check it out there. And then the On the Horizon New Horizons Suite collection is on page 43, so you can check that out as well. But this is it doesn't matter how I stamp this, I guess. Either direction is fine. But I'm just gonna, I didn't ink it. Did I ink it? If I inked it, it sure didn't show it. Must not have. There we go. And then the next stamp is this one right here. And we're going to use the straight part at the horizon line. So we'll just stamp that right on there. And then the final piece is the land piece. And this is how we're going to have it. So the straighter line lines up with that angle at the bottom of the water. So we'll ink that up in Crumb Cake, and then that will get stamped under the water there. So it's cool how the pieces kind of fit together, but not exactly. You know what I mean? So it makes it just come together in a scene very easily. And then I'm going to take, my water painter is upstairs. I worked on this card upstairs when I was getting it ready for my swaps. But I'm just going to put a little ink, and maybe you saw that, on my clear block. And then I'm just going to make sure the water's flowing in my old aqua painter here. And then I'm just going to I want to add a little more sand at the bottom. So I'm just going to get it really, the ink really wet, and just extend that sand down a little ways, just like that. So it's easy, nothing's fancy here for this one. Okay, then you have to let that dry, or dry it with a heat tool. I just did a different one in advance so that I could have it ready to go. Then we're going to go back to the ocean front and take the little grasses, and that is going to get stamped tone on tone just at the bottom. So a little crumb cake for that. And then I'm going to go next to the On the Horizon stamp set, and I'm going to take these birds. I am also going to take wishing you so much happiness. That's going to go from this On the Horizon stamp set too. So keep in mind, Oceanfront doesn't have any sentiments. So I think grabbing it from On the Horizon worked out perfectly for me. So I'm going to take the birds and just some black ink. And those are going to go in the sky. I love these birds because the first time I stamped them, I stamped them upside down. I probably could have used it because just the way the birds are, but it looked a lot better the right way up. So I didn't actually end up using that one. Okay. All right. So next, I got to find out where all of my cardstock is that I had ready. Okay, here it is. Next, we're going to take a piece of 4x5 1/4, and if you saw my picture at 10 o'clock that I posted this morning, it was a whole bunch of pieces of rolled paper, and I actually started with this size cardstock. So I'm going to go right to the middle, and I'm just going to use my fingers to puncture a hole in the middle, and I did this 22 times when working on my swaps. So it was quite a project, but I had Hallmark movies on, so that helped. And then I'm just going to tear down to the corner, maybe a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch from the corner. And then I'll go here up to this side and do the same. And then I'll go to the middle again and go down to each of the other corners. So this will be getting it ready for rolling those edges. And if you didn't see that post, you'll have to go back and look. It's just fun to see all those pieces of rolled cardstocks together. But this now, I want to take some of the bulk out of the middle. So I'm just going to tear away the points so that we've got like a rectangle in the middle. All right. So, it's funny because I signed up to do this swap and I came up with this project, which I love, but then it took so long that the second card that I made was like a quick one sheet wonder that took me like an hour and a half to do all 21 of them. It wasn't very long. All right, so now I'm just going to bring it back in here, but I had to make up time. Time was wasting. And I'm just going to lightly spritz that just to soften up the cardstock. And then I'm going to crinkle. Crinkle, crinkle. I've been doing this actually. I've been crinkling paper more in the last 3 weeks than I have all of the last 3 years probably. All right, so then we're just going to smooth it back out again. I know it seems counterproductive, but it made my life a lot easier once I figured out, if I actually wet this paper first, it works a lot better. And then I'm just going to take one section at a time and kind of smooth out that paper so it bends easily. Then I'm just going to start it and roll it and just keep rolling it all the way back and try to keep it as tight as I can. And then it does stay on its own, which is kind of a cool thing. But when you do it wet, it stays even better, I think. And I didn't get it so wet that it was hard to work with, just a little bit wet. So I've got that part rolled, and I'm going to work on the next section. Yes, I did this 22 times. No wonder I was up till 3 a.m. working on it. Like I said, the first one was like, oh, that is super awesome. I love this. Well, let me tell you, by about card number 10, I was like, ooh, maybe not so awesome anymore. But I loved the look in the end. So I was okay with it. All right, next section. Just a reminder about a couple of deadline type things. So I talked about the scavenger hunt at the beginning, and you will want to make sure to complete that scavenger hunt by Thursday night at 11 p.m. Because I am giving away all of these projects to a random winner, someone that completed that scavenger hunt. So make sure to do that. You'll find that in the featured posts on our page. You are a special group. Not everybody gets to see all of these unless they made the commitment to ask to join the group. So this is always a special thing when you're able to come and watch these videos, and then also take advantage of some of these giveaways. So I am keeping a list of the winners of everything, and I will be sending things. Now, some of these things, an order has to be placed in order to get them, so some of you will wait just a little bit. And I always think when you win, you're not picky when you get it. I hope that's true. Okay, so there, all 4 of them are now rolled. And I hope I'm not boring you to death with that rolling, but had to be done for the cuteness of the project. Then we're going to see what you'll see here then is that'll fit right, that scene will fit right inside our little frame. So, no, don't worry about the right and the wrong, Cindy. Just go ahead and complete them, submit it, and everybody who completes all of it will be entered. Don't worry about the right or wrong. We'll go through those on Friday when we meet for the last time here in this group. And then I just flip this over to check and make sure nothing's hanging over, because I don't want any of the watercolor paper to hang over the edge. It doesn't necessarily have to be straight as long as you like how it looks inside the frame. And then I'm just going to push down on all the sides where I had that liquid glue. All right. Then we're going to just take a little bit of our adhesive, add just a ½ inch piece of adhesive there, and take a little piece of linen thread. And I'm going to wrap it around 2 fingers that have just a teeny bit of space between them. And then I'm going to make it into a figure 8 and then adhere that onto my adhesive. And then just kind of one can stick down, or one end can hang down. That looks kind of nice. And then a piece of 3/4 inch by 3 inch, very vanilla cardstock is what I will stamp my sentiment on. And I'll get that on there right in the middle. And then this morning I grabbed my my Banners Pick-a-Punch, and I'm going to use it again this afternoon. You know what I like about this punch? So I ended up doing the last of my of these cards down here in my studio, and I was able to use this punch while my husband was sleeping right above me because it's so quiet. It's not one of those ka-chunk sounds when you punch it. So that was a major bonus. Now we're going to add dimensionals to this. Let's see if I can find a sheet of regular dimensionals. I guess I'll use the edges. I'm going to grab, okay, and I want the dimensionals under Wishing You. So I'm just going to stick that on there, peel that off, and then you know what? I'm going to actually double dimensional that. So I want a piece the same size. That's why I said I kind of didn't want to use the edges, but this worked out fine. All right, so we've got double dimensional here, and then I'm going to add adhesive on the roll right across from the adhesive where I kept the linen thread. And then this is going to go next. So we're going to squish the roll, put that right over that linen thread. And then, so the V kind of shows that crumb cake yet. And now we'll just bring in our Pool Party cardstock, which is 4 1/4 by 11. And I used the liquid glue again on all of these. It just worked really well there was the very last one I did upside down when I was making my swaps. And then I had to peel it off. I got it. It wasn't easy or necessarily super fun, but I got it. And had to get a new card base because I kind of ruined that. So we've got our card together here now. What would make it just that much cooler is our new pebbles. I've used a lot for my swaps, as you can see. So I'm going to grab one of the light gray ones first. We're going to put that over here. And of course I could use my take your pick tool, but I'll use what God gave me. Oh, I'm not going to use, oh yeah, this one will go on the other side. My hands are so dry and chapped. I'm sorry. I don't have really pretty hands to look at. But hopefully the pretty projects will make up for it. And look doesn't that just finish it off with those little pebbles? All right, so 21 of these bad boys went in the mail. And then I have this one, and then I have the sample one I made to begin with. So 23 times I've made this beauty. And I'm kind of in love with it. It's one of those where you set it up on your table, and then you look at it, and then you work on something, and then you look at it again because it's just so pretty.